Welcome, everybody, to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Wally K9 Castler coming off of Open number 7 in Biloxi, Mississippi. Wally and I were there. Trey was not, so we'll have to hear his thoughts on watching it from home. And you can hear Wally's nice firsthand experience being boots on the ground. Pretty cool little area right there on the Gulf of Mexico. We had some fun. Well, I got sick, but other than that, it was fun. And we're going to get into some ACL Europe stuff as well as Overreaction Wednesday and then our ATA game time. So, Trey, what'd you think?
It was great kind of watching from afar. I got a chance to tune in a good bit this weekend, so off and on. It's always fun listening to. One thing I will say, though, it amazes me how far our live streams have come. Every time I see something, you guys have got some new bell and whistle. Even seeing the Corn Nuts crunch time and the crunch of the corn kernel kind of in the stream. It's just really cool. Like the Chairmageddon was kind of a fun joke that you guys were playing across the entire weekend, which was fun. But they're just so much better than when I was doing them. It's incredible. So kudos to you guys for putting on a great product, and it's cool just to sit back sometimes and appreciate all that. So kudos to you guys, and looks like you got out of Biloxi before the snow came down.
Yeah, we did, and that credit all goes to Corey and Wally. Wally's creative mind and Chase too, and Corey's ability to implement it, and they come together and made something really cool. So shout out to them. But yeah, Wally and I were there, and what do you think Chairmageddon was all about, Wally?
Yeah, well, honorable mention to DLE and the crew for putting together the Chairmid. That was kind of a nice little addition there, especially during the dark time. Whatever happened in the background was a nice little change of pace. But yeah, I don't want to get too stagnant, so I figured, instead of just doing snack cam all the time, we'll bring in lookalike cam, and some of the stuff just kind of hits and we just roll with it. And next thing you know, it just becomes a running theme for the weekend. So it was a lot of fun. Chase did a pretty good job back at home working on it. And the three-headed commentary, I don't think it went too bad. I don't really think there was too many times where we were talking over each other. So it was a lot of fun. Shout out to Kat. I like the area that we were at, pretty close to the venue, but not too close, right next to the casino. So we got to do some nice, gambling and sports watching afterwards. It was a good weekend for sports, and the venue wasn't too bad. When we got there, it was 50 degrees, 48, 50, something like that. It was pretty nice. And then woke up this morning and it is 2 degrees.
A little different.
So, yeah, big change. So I wouldn't mind going back right now, but
it's snowing there now.
Well, I'm going further south then. I'm just going to go far away as possible because 2 degrees is not vibing right now.
I can only imagine. It's got to be in the 50s and 60s here, so I can't relate, but that's Cali for you. All right, let's get into it. Our singles winner for the weekend was Tony Smith, doubles Jamie Graham and Jacob Trzynski. On the women's side, Cheyenne Bubenheim did complete the sweep in both singles and doubles with Gina Ramirez. Senior singles went to Eric Cooper, and doubles went to Michael Henry and Harold Norris. And singles for juniors went to Gabriel Clausen, doubles Bryce Forbes and Levi Haddock. And shout out to Bryce Forbes. If you guys didn't see when him and Jordan Power were playing each other, sort of the end of Sunday, the chirping back and forth, it was super entertaining, and Bryce was hanging with Jordan Power, and Bryce is a 15-year-old kid, so I liked how spicy he was. The audience loved it. Super fun. Congrats to all of our winners. Trey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was really cool, like I said, to kind of watch from afar. I learned a good bit about some different players, got a chance to see some in action. I have more to say about singles, so maybe I'll start with doubles. On the doubles side for me, Jamie Graham wins alongside Jacob Trzynski. We talked about Jacob Trzynski having kind of a breakout season last year and continuing that into this year. Has Jacob Trzynski become the first ever player to beat the girlfriend curse? I mean, the jury is still kind of out, but he's killing it right now, and he's still playing at a very high level. I saw Anthony Ione not able to defend himself here, but dropped a comment on a nice, lovely winter romantic picture between Jacob Trzynski and his girlfriend on social media. And Anthony's comment was, "That boy's PPR about to drop a full point," which I thought was pretty funny. And then he comes out and wins doubles at the Open. So Shout out Trzynski. I think again, I kind of joking here, but at the same time, right? I think it just shows again the evolution of Trzynski's game and his ability to be able to master the mental side of it, which he wasn't able to do for the first few years that he was a pro player. On the other end of the court, Jamie Graham, he now jumps into a tie for second place in all-time ACL titles. When you look at this race, folks, it's no longer to say it's a race. A race implies that we're going to see a finish line anytime soon, and we won't. This is going to be a marathon that is going to extend across each of these players' careers. And if there's anything that goes against Matt Guy, it's just simply going to be his age. This isn't a game that he's going to be able to play for 15 more years. Hey, maybe he will, but at the same time, he has that limitation. We'll always keep that in mind as we track these titles over time. But being atop the list still stands for something. When we look at people like Trey Birchfield, Jamie Graham, and Mark Richards, and I would add, those guys are in the 20 to 21 range. Eric Davis, slowly but surely acquiring titles. He is now at 15, only 5 spots away from that second place. I know that's still a good bit ways away, but the rate in which Eric Davis is playing, you guys were talking about him being an MVP candidate the past few weeks. Hey, if he's going to continue to do that, we should expect more titles. All that to say, this is going to be a fun marathon to watch over the course of these guys' careers. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for them to showcase their skills. And, hey, I'm excited to see 20 years from now. Is it one of those guys, or is it someone that we haven't seen yet that is atop those ACL title races? Jumping over onto the singles side, this one was really fun to watch. I thought it is great to see both Jamie Graham and Mark Richards throwing at a really high level again. Specifically, Mark Richards, I know he's already won Opens this season. He's continuing to get back to where he was 2 years ago. And that epic battle that he had alongside Jamie Graham, 40 rounds in game one. I mean, just an epic battle for him to get through that. And then he's got to play Tony Smith. And of course, Wally gets Mike Hennessy agreeing to some cool admissions live on air, which was a lot of fun to watch. But, just seeing Mark Richards versus Tony Smith, it's being able to see them go head-to-head was really, really cool. Tony Smith, in the end, the victor on the day. I was actually just this weekend talking to Eric, my dad, who is obviously a former pro, works here at the HQ. He was telling me, he's like, I haven't seen some of these big names win some of the Opens. Some there has been, some there hasn't been. But, where are guys like Tony Smith? And I remember saying to him, I said, just don't expect Tony Smith to win anything until the signatures come around. Just because sometimes he doesn't have that mental focus to say, I'm going to win today. Whereas that perception changes as he moves into it. So now all that goes out the window when he goes and he wins this event. But it was good to see him getting back just in time for the signatures. I expect him to be a tough force here. Weird to see he hadn't won a title since the kickoff battle last year. Also weird to see that Jamie Graham hadn't won a title since Worlds 2023. We're talking about a title drought that went an entire year. So those two being able to bounce back, I thought was really, really impressive. Last two that I'll mention, Gabriel Clausen, at least right now, I would argue is right there neck and neck with Logan Dupler as kind of the next great young talent that we have in our sport. He is someone that everybody's going to have their eye on moving forward, and some people that, a lot should want to embody in what he does. He's got every single shot in the book. And I'll never forget the day that on crappy boards and crappy conditions that he lost to Tom Stranger and Trey Ryder. So he'll never get.
Of course, you're going to bring that up. We're not going to go an episode of Gabriel Clausen without talking.
And so then the last thing I'll say is, how about Josiah Arreguin? This is someone who a little bit of last year. So as you guys know, I broadcast the regionals here in Rock Hill. I do that for Dusty. I think it's cool to kind of promote the Rock Hill Cornhole area. And he has just been someone that a year ago was like, okay, this is a guy that's just going to take his lashings and open. He's just going to play. He knows he's going to get his butt whipped. And then he started winning a little bit more and winning a little bit more and winning a little bit more. And now for the past few events, we're starting to see this trend of third place finishes, second place finishes in doubles, him consistently playing at a high level. And I put him in the same category now as Zach Aiken, someone who has yet to really get a signature win in Rock Hill, but continuously finishes well against some of the best players. People like Jack and Jake Gore that continue to show out. People like Tommy Sliker, Frank Modlin. We get an appearance from Jamie Graham every now and again, right? These are people that play at a really, really high level. Josiah is finally being able to showcase his skills at the highest level. Excited for him that he's been able to bring some of that talent here from Rock Hill out to the Opens, and excited to see if he can continue to build on it this year.
Yeah, definitely an impressive performance from him. Wally, what are your thoughts?
You're on mute, Meesh.
I'm not on mute.
I heard her.
I'm
Anyway,
like, I'm not on mute.
I heard.
Oh, man, I can't hear anything.
Oh, well, basically, for me, it's the names. They're starting to become the names again. We're getting back to the people that were relevant a few years ago. Trey kind of touched on it. You know, going back to like even Jackson Gore had another strong performance. He continues to be up there. Mark looks like the old Mark as he's going back to his old bags with the snipers down, so the pro sniper elites. Tony Smith, he looked kind of weird, but he got the job done. So I don't really understand how he won that tournament, especially with some of the names that were there. Jeremiah Ellis came back out. We were kind of curious to see what we'd get from him. He looked pretty good, I think, for the most part, except for Friday at the very end, but that's understandable. My man's been behind the work truck for a long time, but
He got
Cheyenne
released from his cage.
Right. Finally out of the truck. But Cheyenne looked to be good again. She looked like she was back on track where she needed to be. Jordan Power, again, looks very, very good. I think the different flight might have helped him go a little bit further there, but you talked about it, Bryce Forbes. He steps up. You know, he's from that area. He had a good crowd behind him. Bryce Forbes and Levi had it, continuing to do what they do in juniors doubles. And those aren't the easy fields anymore. You're talking Mason Trader, Cash Chamness, Ryan Trader, Sammy Soto. The junior fields are almost more exciting than some of these other double fields because the talent level of the juniors division is just so good. I want to give a shout out to Eric Cooper. He has now put his name in the hat as far as the seniors division goes. I'm not sure how you feel or if you even hear me on this or not, Trey, but is this good for us that the seniors is kind of having a change of the guard, or is it kind of concerning that we're not getting much Frank Modlin or Damon Dennis or anything in the finals? Because, Eric Cooper taking down senior singles, and then I think I know them, but I'm not sure. Michael Henry and Harold Norris taking down seniors doubles. I don't know if I could point them out in a room or not, but what do you think about the change in the guard in the seniors division, Trey?
I think it is unique, right? Because it's showing a little bit more of a parity, but I think it's the same evolution that we started to see with the juniors division. Now, what I would say is I almost don't want to count them out just yet. Like, it kind of feels like once we get to the signatures, a lot of these guys will kind of hone in and being able to deliver. But I would say that there's a little bit of concern maybe from not seeing the same dominance from a Frank Modlin, from a Damon Dennis, from even a Pat Sem. It is interesting to see, again, these seniors, like, I hate to even put it this way, but like their bodies are also like getting older, right? I mean, there is an element to being able to do this at a high level. I would say, I think we've had a very short 3-month window in which we're making a lot of these conclusions. I think we at least deserve to wait until the entire year is over before we rule one is in or out. So, but it is interesting to see them not finish well. So who knows?
Yeah, Steve Schrader and, Jeff Reynolds, a couple of other seniors, Donald Cup, they've all had a great year. But, yeah, Eric Cooper, he's got his name in the hat now. I want to touch base real quick on Jamie Graham because I believe it was in Ohio. I talked about how he's almost there. It would take him a little bit to get familiar with the bags, and I think Jamie Graham's going to be back to form. He looks really, really good. He looks like he's finally starting to get these bags figured out. I think Jamie Graham and Jake Trzynski, Trey talked about the mental part of Trzynski's game. Go back to the call with Landon Crabtree, flipping, contemplating, thinking, flipping. Like that match showed me something with Jake Trzynski where he was just able to avoid all of Landon Crabtree's antics, take a deep breath. There was a tablet malfunction or something during the match. He just stayed there. He just kind of looked like he was bored for a second. Then he went out and won a round limited title. So everything that he usually bitches and complains about, he's gotten over it, and he's winning with everything that's put out there in front of him. And then again, we talked about Tony Smith kind of with the yips. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I mean, the ability to win a tournament, it wasn't exactly a super deep field, but it still had some pretty big names out there. And the ability to get out there whenever you don't know what your bag is doing and winning a tournament, that's pretty impressive for Tony Smith to be able to come back and win that one. So, yeah, the
Well, he
names
had
are
that
starting
one
to
game,
get
remember, Wally, where he threw like 70-something bags in?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tony was locked in. Poor Gavin Cano got the back end of that. But it's going to be interesting the further we get into this season because, like you said, we're not really into the signature events. But at the same time, I am starting to feel a little bit of the ramp up towards that event. Like people are, in my opinion, taking it a little bit more serious than they were a couple months ago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And poor Gavin, I saw him in the chat when Tony he threw in the 9s, but against Gavin, he missed 2 bags, I think it was, for I don't even know how many rounds. Poor Gavin, he's pissed.
Well, and
Why
then
that against me?
Yeah, and then you see Jacob Trzynski's like singles game. He threw like 100 and he threw like an 11-7 where he threw like 100 and something bags or something. I mean, it was just it's ridiculous how good some of these guys are going. But it's all about consistency, right? He throws that. He plays one of the best games I've ever seen on paper, and then throws a 10-2, which again I'm not saying is bad. I'm just saying he goes and throws a 10-2 and loses, right? So I mean.
Hayden Gonzalez threw over an 11 for the tournament and got 5th in his bracket.
Yeah, that's tough.
On the tournament. That is
hey, but it was good enough to get him a commitment, right? So he just committed today, I think. He committed to Winthrop, so he'll be playing.
Wow.
Playing for Winthrop as well. He'll be joining the rest of that squad. So they lose. I think the Winthrop team loses Jacob Harrison and Spencer Fabianar as kind of going off and doing different things. Did their 1 year of college and out. Bringing in, they're replacing talent, I guess. So Hayden Gonzalez, the next one up there. So that was.
I can't wait for Oregon to get a cornhole team now, and then him just to be beating himself.
Although, yeah. that would be funny. Although I will find it fun. This is actually kind of funny. And if Michael Gonzalez listens to this, he'll get a kick out of it. Today, Winthrop is having their practice in the HQ, and Luke Bryant, who is the doubles national champion alongside Josh Quinn, he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I want to show you something." I was like, "Okay, what is it?" And he shows me the replay of when he was on the broadcast, when he got called for the foot foul. And so when he threw the bag and he followed through, I mean, his foot, it's like right there. And he's like, "I don't think I was on the line." Like he showed me the TV angle. So like the TV angle kind of shows he's right near it. And yeah, you could probably go 50-50 based on that TV angle. I don't know what the official saw. But what I do find interesting is that the official for that game was Michael Gonzalez. And so he's like, "I think Michael Gonzalez has something against me and Winthrop." I said, "His son just committed to Winthrop today. Like, what do you mean he's got something against Winthrop?" So I thought that was a funny little story that I got to laugh about today.
That's too good. I mean, that's all sports, right? Sometimes it's a coin toss, and whatever they called is what it's going to stay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into ACL Europe. Trey's got some updates for us, some cool cities we're going to be heading to. So I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, really excited for this. So I've been able to travel to Europe the past 2 years. 2 years ago, or in 2023, I was in Paris, got to see the European Championship there. Last year, got to travel out to Trier, Germany to see the European Championship in 2024. And now we're kicking off another season of ACL Europe Opens. It's going to be a lot of fun. For the first time, ACL Europe going to 15 different countries. And I would say this much. Look, if you are international travelers and you love cornhole, pick one and go. They are so much fun. It is a great time. The competition, and regardless of skill level, right? I really do believe right now Europe has a true, like, spanning all different, skill levels at their opens, right? The U.S., naturally, we've seen that progression, right? People have gotten better. So even at intermediate, when you walk into intermediate and an open, these are people that have played a decent amount. You walk into the ACL Europe Open, I mean, the worst player there is going to throw a 2 PPR, legit. I mean, that's just how it is. But now the best of the best are starting to compete at a really high level. So 15 events. The first one is this coming weekend. They will be live on the ACL Europe Facebook page as well as the American Cornhole League YouTube page. So make sure you check those out January 24 through 26. They're up 50% registrations. They're completely sold out. So the game is continuing to grow there. They'll have 2 new countries that they're going to have events for the first time. That's going to be Denmark and Austria. So that is really, really cool. And then they'll have their ACL Europe pros as well. This all culminates to the end of the season. They'll have events in the late summer, early fall, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we are going to get a good amount of travel over for our World Championships at the end of July, beginning of August, for some of those top level Croatian players that won the automatic bids this past season. Really excited to, for them to come to America for the first time to compete in the championship. It'll be cool to see them compete against Canadians, compete against Americans, and play against a really, really tough field. So couldn't be more excited for that. Mogorovic, the Balat sisters, Milecevic. There's a number of different ones. And if I did the thing where I tried to name everybody, I would mess it up, and their names are too long and too many weird characters in their name. But just excited to see them and come across. But then that leads into that European Championship, which I've kind of talked about from the past 2 seasons, which this year is going to be in Croatia. So it is going to be in Porridge, right along the coast. Beautiful location. And it's a great location if you're looking to travel and see parts of Europe. I'm personally probably going to fly into Hungary, do a little bit of travel in there, then get to Croatia, do the event, and then it's just a 3-hour drive over to Italy. So I'll probably do a couple days in Italy as well. So really excited. The talent getting better and better. You're seeing plenty of those more roll bags, people playing more defensive games in Europe. It's no longer just a old man's game, as we like to say. So excited to see what this year in Europe has to bring. And hopefully we got to get you guys out there to at least one of them. It's always a blast.
I tried. I said, Alicia, let me take Rome to Rome. Come on, send me there. I want to take my son to there. And I've never been to Europe. I've been to Mexico, but that's the only international travel I've done. So I really want, you guys can send me whenever you want. Yeah, we're going. We're ready.
Wally got to go to Australia, which is pretty cool. But
yeah, Australia was a blast. Yeah, I saw they just had another one, so I'd like to get back there. That was one that I went out there. We did work. We had a little bit of fun, but there was so much that we left on the table. Like there's people skydiving, landing right on the beach in front of our hotel, and I was like, "Come on, Stacy, let's go." And he had none of it. He didn't want to go skydiving for some reason.
For some reason, shocking. You say it like it's a drink out at the bar.
Skydiving. Oh my gosh, that would be a sight.
I'm out on that, and I'm out on the shoey. I'm not drinking out of a shoe. It's not happening. No.
What's the thing they do in
Rome,
oh
right?
gosh. I went in Rome. Oh man, there's a tradition that the people of Newfoundland do where it's like the screech or something like that. And there's a fish involved, and you gotta slap a fish. You gotta drink something. I don't know. There's something crazy. They got all these. That's the cool thing though. Like I always say, when you walk into, I've always used this analogy, when you walk into an American event, no matter where you are, and it could be like everybody's got pride in Texas. So let's even take Texas, for example. A loud, obnoxious, big hooping and hollering, great atmosphere, right? But people are just rooting for their individual friends. There's no overall loyalty to a certain group of people because everybody's from the same state. Everybody's from the same country. It's not like that. When you walk into an ACL Europe event, it's like these people are legitimately playing for their country pride. I'm playing to represent Slovenia. I'm playing to represent Austria, right? There's different groups that are so passionate about their country, and that's just a different vibe, right? And then the natural rivalries form, right? You could have never met somebody in your life, but if you're Germany and you're France, like automatically there's a little bit of a rivalry there just because, there's a natural tendency to do that across sporting events. So I think that's what separates it and adds just kind of a different flair that makes it exciting for people to watch.
I guess the only vibe I think of for us is Hawaii, because they travel and they come in a big group and they're on their island, and I think they kind of bring that vibe too. All right, let's get into Overreaction Wednesday. The first one, the women have to move away from the slide airmail game if they want to make the top 10. Wally, overreaction or not an overreaction?
I mean, not an overreaction. They definitely need to do that. I don't know what they need to do to make the top 10. Their PPRs are getting up there, so I'm definitely proud of all of them for that. I remember Alan came over and showed us DLE versus Matt Guy at one moment. It was like 17 rounds and both players over an 11. But that's the type of guy you could do that against, Matt Guy. If you take that same game against, Alex Rawls, you're not going to throw an 11. So they need to do two things, in my opinion, which is the next step, which is start throwing the blocker and then pushing through it. So start using the blocker. And the other thing is start moving in and out of the box a little bit. Like Cheyenne does it, and I'm not really too sure if any other female really steps in and out of the box, using the whole 3 feet that they're given to kind of step and work around bags or bully or do whatever. So that's part of it.
Trey?
I'm going to say not an overreaction either. I've always been a proponent that the best player in the world or the best group of players in the world has to develop an additional shot, right? For a lot of people, that defaults to a roll nowadays, but it doesn't have to be. The best example I give of that is Adam Hissner. You have to have a bag manipulation shot. And for Hissner, he has a deadly cut bag that he can throw at any point that makes him incredibly difficult to play against. So for me, as long as you have that additional shot, you can be one of the best in the world, right? It is going to hold you back if you're not able to do that. So really, it's not about developing a roll bag. It's just maybe it is a cut. Maybe it's a really nasty reverse cut. There's a lot of different options that you can go with, but you do need an additional shot.
Devin Harbaugh will need to get a practice facility to win another event. Wally?
I think that's an overreaction. Sometimes too much practice can be bad for people. You start stressing a little bit more. Another Matt Guy reference. I remember there was times where he said, sometimes if I throw 3 or 4 bags and I know I don't have it, I just set the bags down and I don't practice again the rest of that night. So you have to have good practice sessions. And if you're going to start pressing and worrying about the end result, Meesh, all about this. You can't get to the finish line before you get to the race. So I wouldn't really worry too much about practice.
Trey?
Definitely overreaction. I think, look, Devin Harbaugh showed at the beginning of the year he can be the number 1 player in the world. He's already got that number 1 seed going into the signatures. If I want Harbaugh to bottom out in the season at any point, it's right now. It's this stretch before we get to the signatures. So have your adversity now. He's strong enough to bounce back from it. I think it's an overreaction. I think he'll be fine come signatures.
Josiah Arguin gives hope for a rookie to make the top 10. Wally?
I'd say it's an overreaction. I think that it was one good performance out of him. It was Gary Bearpaw's best finish as well. We've seen glimpses of different rookies at different times. I'm not throwing it all on Josiah. Very happy to see his end result. I think, again, he's one of these players that will help us set up and help us tear down. Those players always have a special place in my heart, so I'm glad to see it. But I think for the most part, this is the names getting back to the name season. Jackson Gore, Mark Richards, Tony Smith, Eric Davis. The rookies are going to have their hands full trying to get in the top 10.
Trey?
Yeah, I'm going to say not an overreaction, but kind of for a weird reason. I don't think Josiah Arguin ends up in the top 10. But what I do think it does is it illustrates that we still have room for these top players that don't have a strong background, that aren't one of the most well-known names, to make deep runs in tournaments that still have a lot of great players there. So does this give me hope that we could see that run a couple different times and maybe someone sneaks into number 8, number 9, number 10? I still think that's a possibility. Someone like a Logan Dupler could legitimately do that. And I wouldn't even put it past some of these, junior pros. Do we call them rookies? What do we identify them as? If you get to throw them in that bucket, still think maybe a Clausen or a Zach Aiken or someone like that could maybe make a deep run as well on multiple events. So I think his performance gives me hope, but I don't think Josiah is quite ready to be in that conversation of a top 10 player yet.
We're worried about Tony Smith's new stutter throw for the future. Wally?
I say it's an overreaction. I'm not too worried about anything that Tony Smith does. He's very good at video games. He's very good at golf. He's very good at cornhole. Him and Ryan Windsor are like two players that come to mind that are really good at no matter what they do. So I don't know if maybe Tony cares about it now, and maybe that's what the stutter was, or I don't know. But Tony Smith, I think, will just go lackadaisically back into the top 20 player that he always is without even caring. So I think he'll be all right.
Trey?
I'm going to go overreaction. Not worried about it. Whatever we just saw this weekend, Tony won. However, I have seen this one other time in cornhole, and that was Derek King. Now, what did we see happen with Derek King? Derek King, great player, one of the best in the world, develops this little hitch, double clutch, whatever it may be, and he still won world championships with that little stutter throw. Didn't matter. He powered through it. However, what happened later was a snowball effect of this led to some other things. All of a sudden, it affected his mental game, dealing with some anxiety, couldn't fight through all of the different noises, and that culminated with him having to step away from the highest level of the game because he couldn't compete anymore. So I don't believe that Tony Smith is in that same type of conversation right now, because I think Tony has this incredible ability, for lack of a better way to put it, to not care. And I'm saying that in a good way. He has a good way to relieve pressure from him mentally in a way that makes him successful. So I still stand by that it's an overreaction. Will I be watching it a little bit more as the rest of the season goes? Yes, but at least right now there's no need to fret.
Ryan Trader will make a full comeback by the next event. Wally?
I don't really know which answer this is, so I'll say not an overreaction.
You think he will make a comeback?
Okay, then no, overreaction then. I think that he needs to step away for a little bit. Just take a break. Don't even pick up a cornhole bag. Go be a kid again for a second. And then one day, if you know the traders, that they talk trash, one day just pick up a bag and be like, I can beat you right now. And then just throw without worrying about the end result. Just have fun. Go back to talking some trash a little bit. I think that he has the best corner. We talk about Jay Rubin being a mentor to the young kids all the time. Jay Rubin is in his side, so he could help him walk through this. He's got, experience in the game. He's seen it all. But I think as far as what Ryan needs to do right now, don't worry about the next event. Just relax. Go be a kid for a second, and then whenever you're ready, come back and throw some bags.
Trey?
I don't think it's an overreaction to the whole situation, but I'll tell you this much. I have said 1,000 times, we have never in the history of our sport seen back-to-back seasons in which a U18 player has performed at the highest level across both seasons. We have never seen it. Take every great player that's under the age of 18. We have never seen that person repeat. Look at the Gores. Jack was incredible 3 years ago, not great 2 years ago. He's back playing really good. Jake, great 2 years ago. Last year wasn't great. Does he bounce back again? Alex Hicks, 2021, literally the baby goat. I've never seen him reach that pinnacle since. Look at Caleb Batson, 2 years ago. Wins a world championship in the most dominating fashion alongside Eddie Grindersleeve, something that we've never seen. Last year finishes above 100 in the singles standings. We start taking an inventory of all the great young players across the board, and I'm just betting on history right now. I just expect a sophomore slump from Ryan Trader. I have to expect it because history tells me otherwise. It will be the first junior to have great back-to-back seasons, will be a trendsetter and will be revolutionary. Maybe that is Trader, but I can't speak to it yet just because I've literally never seen it before.
I think Wiedenfeld would probably be the closest, but I mean, he's kind of like borderline. Never really considered him a junior anyway.
That's true. He's like a 35-year-old and a 15, 16-year-old
Yeah,
body now. Yeah, I guess.
totally. Yeah, I would agree with that. Nice. ATA game time. Let's start with the 4-bagger of the week. What do you got, Wally?
4-bagger for me is playoff football is back. I'm excited to see how we get to the Super Bowl. The tournaments, the playoff football for college, I think was kind of a wah-wah experiment. It was okay. I think reseeding could have made it a lot better. The matchups weren't exactly super great, but playoff football, I mean, the Commanders and the Lions game was amazing to watch, even though it didn't go how my bet and my players were supposed to. But there's just something about the finality to any sport that is amazing. Keeps me on the edge of my seat. I'm all about it.
Trey?
All right. So I've said this in the past that I'm a big advocate for Peloton. That's not a free ad, by the way. I hit my 700th ride this past week on Peloton. So that was a milestone for me. And just shout out to anybody that's going through a weight loss journey. It's the hardest thing that I ever do. Meesh is a big proponent of this way of life of trying to make yourself a healthier person and get on the track to betterment. And there's been ebbs and flows the entire way, but just being able to get back on it, after taking a few months off intentionally, trying to give myself a little bit of leeway, which was a lot. But anyway, we're back on it. Hit my 700th ride, gets me fired up and ready for 2025.
And you're technically past the whatever the date is that most people quit. It's like January 1st through, I forget the exact date when it's called like Quitter's Day. So You're now past that. So that's a good timing on that. All right. Floor bagger, Wally.
All right. I'm going to bash the ACL for a second.
Oh,
sorry, Trey. But I have a solution.
Mute.
So single Sunday should be more amazing than it is. I think if the pros just tell them this is how it is, deal with it, show up at 9:00 and play, we could have the finals around like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon with all the comp, advanced, intermediate players all gathered around in the crowd. And not only that, but whenever they get done, we could tear down and get out of their Meesh. So yeah, floor bagger for me is the championship crowds for singles. It's fun until it gets to that point where we get a little slap happy and just start having to show chairs. So
it's so
that's my only complaint, but it comes with a solution, Trey.
What about like at the signatures when the broadcast will be at like noon on Sunday and all the amateurs will still be playing, right?
There you go. So I fixed it. See,
you fixed it. Didn't even realize it.
All right, Trey, what's your floor bagger?
All right, I'm going on a family vacation. I'm leaving Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm going to Florida. And this
Shocking.
band of weather, if this band of weather gets in front of us to where my family doesn't want to drive, I am going to lose it. So the floor bagger is this weather can kick rocks. All right, this snow, like, get it out of here. I don't want to be driving in it. I don't want everybody freaking out. I don't want this band of snow coming up through Georgia and South Carolina.
Would it be canceled or just makes it more difficult?
Well, if I had anything, I'll drive through anything. I don't care. I'm worried about the rest of my family. That's
okay.
Like, I don't know. I don't think I want to drive through this. Then hopefully it just means we get delayed a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that does suck. All right. Send it or board it. What do you got, Wally?
All right, so kind of going with the bad weather thing. Like I said, it's 2 degrees right now, and going with my 4-bagger, playoff football. Send it or board it. Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills this Sunday.
Going like in person?
Would I go?
I mean, no way. No way.
I'm gonna board this because I'm a big look. I've been to a ton of football games. Like I'm a season ticket holder for Clemson. I used to go to every single game. And then as I got older, I was like, I'll just go to a few that I really, really want to go to. If that is freezing cold, pouring rain, anything like that, I pass. And I would say unless it was the national championship, but the national championship would never, or the Super Bowl would never be played in those conditions. So it doesn't matter because you still have
It's
one
AFC
more
championship.
but you still have one more game to win. I've always hated, and also there's like, to me, it's a lot of money and effort and everything to get out there and do all that. Yeah, you beat the Bills, and then the next week you lose to the Eagles, and you're like, well, what the
See, that's the
hell,
thing
right?
for me is I'm going to be going with one of my biggest Bills fans. He's one of my buddies. He went to the game where Mahomes came back with 13 seconds, and he sat there 20 minutes after the game, just like sad. You know what I mean? So if the Bills win, I think it's going to be a great environment. If the Chiefs win, obviously you'll be there. It'll be a great environment. So for me, being a Packers fan, I think it'd just be kind of cool to see a championship game without having to drive 9-10 hours to go see it. So
No, it's true.
I think I'm probably going to go and have fun.
What is do you know what the temperature is going to be?
No, I haven't looked yet. It's got to be warmer than 2. So.
Well, warmer than 2, but I don't know. I'm not sitting out in the cold. I'm just not. If I could have a box and a suite and, be in the heat, then sure.
I'll text Taylor and see if it's okay if I can join her.
Perfect. All right, Trey, send it or board it. What do you got?
All right. Appointing me a temporary commissioner of NFL and collegiate football scheduling to enact the following schedule, because I am tired as a diehard college football fan of college football just fading. I was tired this year of it fading into oblivion because the NFL just dominates everything once you get to mid-January. As soon as you get done with conference championship games, end of November, beginning of December, you do your 4 straight weeks, okay, of your college football playoff. Your round of 12, your round of 8, your round of 4, and your national championship takes place on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, whichever one works better scheduling-wise. And then the NFL always now has to end. The Super Bowl has to be Super Bowl Sunday, the day before President's Day. And our new president enacts an executive order to make it so everybody has to get off on President's Day, so you can go out and enjoy Super Bowl Sunday the way that you need to. And then you can take the next day off. It's like New Year's Eve, where if you want to go out and party, you got some time to rest the next day. So this schedule, it just makes everybody happy, and it's got to happen.
Sounds like
I'll send it. I'll send it because I think it's well thought out. I also got kind of lost with the college schedule as far as when do they play, what do they got going on. I had to check my bets just to figure out when the next game was, because it seemed like it was just drug out over 5 weeks for 4 games. And then the Super Bowl, you always need that Monday off regardless. That needs to happen.
That needs to happen. That needs to be a holiday. Come on. All right. Would you rather, Wally?
All right, this one's mainly for Meesh. Meesh, would you rather sit in that folding chair that you had this weekend or a nice Alpha Furnishing chair?
Is this your way of plugging Alpha Furnishing? Because I'm all for it.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Alpha
to
Furnishing, let's go. Don't even talk to me about the chair situation. Different chair situation. As commentators, we sit for 5 hours. You would never get to get up unless you just want to stand.
Don't get me started as she started.
You got me started.
I knew something was happening as soon as I heard Meesh on the live stream go, "Oh, that's a nice chair there," and you were like, "Don't get me started." And I was like, "Oh yeah, she's fired up about somebody's chair or something."
About the no respect to the commentators with our chair situation. That is my soapbox. Trey doesn't want a folding chair.
I'll take the folding chair. I think the folding chair sounded just fine.
You want the folding chair? You're not sitting in a folding chair.
Folding chair on a gym floor is different too. Folding chair on carpet sucks. So there's times where
you can't move.
You can't go anywhere. Yeah.
Good luck. All right, Trey, you got one?
Yeah. All right. So this extends to any sport, but what it made me think about it was kind of the old Ohio State, Michigan thing. And I can even argue South Carolina and Clemson, which is a rivalry that's near and dear to my heart. Would you rather have you're going head to head against your rival, okay? Bitter rivals, hate them to their core. In your head to head during the regular season, okay, they beat you. But you go on to win the national championship or the championship event that you're doing that particular day. Maybe you're playing your bitter rival in Cornhole. They beat you to knock you into the losers bracket. and then you come back through the losers bracket and win the whole thing. You don't get to double dip them. You don't play them again, okay? But you come back and double dip. Which side of that coin would you rather be on? Would you rather have the championship, but your rival gets those eternal bragging rights over you over the, however long it is, or would you rather have the chip and have the loss to the rival?
Well, we saw that, right? Like Jeremiah Ellis and Adam Hisner, when Jeremiah would make it to the broadcast against Adam, I asked him, like, what's your record, you guys? And he's like, he's never beat me. Like that's got to suck for Adam Hisner.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Meesh. I agree.
Yeah, so which one? Which one is that? You'd rather be?
You want to beat your rival. You don't want him to be bragging that it's an offer.
Yeah, I want the title, and then the rival just goes down.
No, you just tried to have.
No, you have to pick one. Would you rather win?
All right. Well,
you can beat the Packers. You can give me Packers. You're beating the entire. The Packers win the Super Bowl, but they lose to everybody in the NFC South, and they get somehow swept the NFC North.
As long as the ring fits around this finger. Give me the title.
I don't know. I think I'll forego one event to be like, ha! It's not. You don't beat me every time.
No.
I got you at that other event.
I think that's the last laugh. The ship is the last laugh.
All right.
I think so too. Like, would you rather be Ohio State or Michigan? Ohio State, Michigan, the worst rivalry in college football, and Michigan beat them in the regular season, and then Ohio State goes and wins the national championship. It's like Ohio State gets the bragging rights that they won the national championship, but Michigan is like, but we beat you, losers. Like,
you're lucky. They're saying you're lucky I wasn't there. That's what they're saying.
You seen that meme going around with the stick figures where it's like a Michigan logo and it says, "We beat you," and then Ohio State's around the national trophy, and they're like, "Oh, where's my cool?"
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I got the trophy.
Exactly. That's the idea. That's the idea.
Interesting. All right, it's ready for hot takes. What you got, Wally?
All right, I mean, it's football related, of course. It's I'm gonna say the Bills beat the Chiefs by more than 10 points on the road this weekend. The Eagles will beat the Commanders by more than 10 points, and then both teams are going to score over 25 points in the Super Bowl. So
I'm assuming this is a bet you made. That's why it's so specific.
No, I'm just going Bills, Eagles, and then the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, scoring 30-plus points. Go there.
But
you haven't bet this?
No, I'm just talking in general.
All right.
But I think it'd be fun to watch.
Okay.
All right. You make me go football then. I mean, we're not even on a football show, but I'll go football too then, I guess. I'm going to go complete opposite. What I've learned is I'm a Patriots fan, and it hurts. It rips my guts out to see how good the Chiefs are, and I hate every second of it. But when I was a Patriots fan, I always tell people, you never bet against Tom Brady, okay, until he gives you a reason not to. And right now, I don't care what they look like. You got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on that end. I think the Chiefs win. I think the Eagles win. And the Chiefs beat the Eagles for the worst Super Bowl again in the past however many years. And it's just the worst ever. And we hate every second of it. And I think I was talking about this before. And the way it's going to end is Patrick Mahomes gets his ankle rolled on in the third quarter, and he's limping in the fourth quarter, and he's just good enough to throw a good pass at the end. Yeah, I'm sick of it.
I go Chiefs. The Chiefs have to win. I think it's the Taylor Swift effect. It's got to happen. It just is what it is. We don't have to like it, but it's happening. I don't think there's anything we can do about it, regardless of their talent. There's like a weird energy around Taylor Swift. Stuff just happens. All right, that's all we got time for. We'll see you guys all next time.